So, in what has just caused Nvidia stock to lose more than $500 billion in market cap, I think it's the biggest decline in terms of market cap value that we've ever had in history, which is kind of crazy to think about. And not to mention tons of other tech stocks falling sharply too. Well, we have a new Chinese AI startup company that is apparently terrifying the market into selling out of many popular AI stocks. So we got to talk about this. I want to give you guys a quick recap of what exactly happened here, and then we'll run through some of the stocks affected and how much their prices sank. I'll share my own thoughts on all of this and how big of a deal I think it all is. And we'll finish up at the end with what I plan to do myself, whether I see this as a good enough reason to be panicking or if it is just another buying opportunity for some of my favorite AI stocks. All of that and more in today's quick update video. So hit that like button if you enjoy updates like this. I got lots of messages asking me for a quick update on this to share my thoughts. So I'm here. Please hit that like button if you enjoy it. Let's go ahead and run through this. So what exactly happened here? Well, let's check out some of the reporting. So this on Fortune, it says DeepSeek spells crisis for American AI companies. US chipmaker nvidia led a rout in tech stocks Monday after the emergence of a low-cost Chinese generative AI model that could threaten US dominance in the fast-growing industry. The chatbot developed by DeepSeek, a startup based in eastern China, has apparently shown the ability to match the capacity of US AI pace setters for a fraction of the investments made by American companies. Is causing the tech-heavy Nasdaq to fall more than 3% in trading on Monday, with many tech stocks dropping hard too. And I'll go over those in just a second here. But apparently the DeepSeek app has actually become so popular already. It's already dethroned ChatGPT on the Apple App Store as the most downloaded free app in America. That's pretty wild. Now, a little bit about this company here, if you're not familiar with them. So they were founded in 2023 by a Chinese hedge fund that focuses primarily on AI investments and technologies. Now, the platform itself has been getting a lot of praise as it rose in popularity, and I've even seen some reports claiming that it can be just as good, if not maybe even a little bit better than some of the competing generative AI platforms like Gemini, ChatGPT, and so on. However, I have no way of verifying that, and it's also been at the center of some controversy, which shouldn't be glossed over, as it apparently censors certain dialogue. This is what people are claiming, whenever they're kind of critical of the Chinese government or they try to talk about it. So, like all things in China, this is yet another company here that most likely has deep ties to the government there. Just a guess on my part. I have no insider knowledge on any of this, but that does tend to be the case with a lot of Chinese companies like this, especially random kind of tech startups that just kind of pop up out of nowhere, seemingly. Anyway, this article here from CNBC goes on to say that little is known about this company, but they claim to have only taken 2 months and less than $6 million to build their large language model, which they also claim has been using weaker H800 chips from NVIDIA, their GPUs. Something that, if true, would be so impressive that even Meta has allegedly gotten together a couple of war rooms of engineers tasked with figuring out how DeepSeek was able to even achieve this, is because it's such a breakthrough. Now, two things on all of this. So the more powerful H100 chips, those are actually banned right now, from going to China, banned by the US. So that's why they would supposedly be using weaker H800 chips. I'll share my opinion on that in just a second here. But, then they also have the claim of only taking 2 months and less than $6 million to develop all of this. Now, for context, you want to talk about how much companies are investing or spending on artificial intelligence. Meta actually just announced recently that they'll be spending like $65 billion just this year alone on many AI related projects. And America, obviously through various partnerships and such, but they're launching Project Stargate. And that is an investment over the course of 5 years, I believe, but it is a total investment supposed to be of around $500 billion. Now, obviously, that's not the same. There's a lot that goes into those things, building out massive data centers and all that kind of stuff. But just the fact that this little tiny Chinese startup kind of popping up out of nowhere was able to build a large language model, which we've seen in the past, has taken much more time and billions of dollars of investment to build out even just those. And this company did it at a fraction of the cost in such a short amount of time. And for them to really be doing something like this with AI at such a dramatically smaller price tag than what has been spent in the past on those LLMs, large language models, well, it's something that really spooked the market. It's really spooking the market right now. The idea being that all of this AI development never actually needed such giant investments. And so prices should be crashing from here. That's kind of the idea. Maybe that sending demand lower for new expensive AI products and services that shouldn't actually be required, because if this company can do it for such a smaller amount of money in a shorter amount of time, why are all these other companies spending so much, right? So really, they shouldn't be spending that kind of money on new products and services coming out every year. That in theory could be lowering demand if these realizations come true. And because these American companies already have such rich valuations, some of them trading near record highs, and many of them have soared by giant amounts. Even if they're falling down now, they're still up a huge amount if you look at recent years. Well, the idea being that if growth for them starts to dwindle down, those valuations should be coming down too, and thus kind of causing a crash in a lot of these stocks here. And then the other fear, of course, is just that China in general will be able to kind of beat us at everything to do with artificial intelligence, because they're just so much better at it, so much more efficient. And so American companies won't be able to compete with them long term, and thus their stocks need to, start crashing down. Western stocks. Now, I'll give my own opinion and thoughts on all of that in just a second here. But first, let me just show you how the market reacted here. So here's some screenshots of the most popular names in AI. And as you can see here, Apple actually stayed in the green, but Google fell by over 4%. Microsoft fell over 2%. And nvidia crashed by about 17%. Huge drop for nvidia, while Meta actually finished in the green. Same thing for Amazon, but then AMD fell over 6%, Palantir fell over 4%, Intel only fell 2%. I'm kind of surprised by that one, thought it would have fallen more, but Broadcom took a beating, falling by over 17%, while ASML Holding fell over 6%, Applied Materials fell over 6% too, and then Micron fell almost 12% as well. So just a lot of damage really across the board. Now, how do I feel about all of this, and what will I be doing, going forward? Now, personally, I think most of this is overblown, and here's why. First of all, my biggest tech stocks are proven leaders with solid profitability, strong track records. They're not some little startup from China that we know very little about, and that most big clients will, probably not trust, at least to some degree, right? But companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, those are some of my biggest holdings in my, personal portfolio. And those businesses are only enhanced by artificial intelligence. It's not really something where they have to fear small competitors. They only get stronger from the rise in AI, and it helps them offer more services, better services to their clients. But even nvidia, AMD, Palantir, Broadcom, again, these are proven leaders that are actually trusted in the space with strong track records. And I'm sorry, but I just don't see how a Chinese language model all of a sudden makes all of these companies obsolete. It doesn't really. Now, the only logical argument being made, in my opinion, is that China was just able to do something in AI at such an incredibly short amount of time with such a small amount of money that it's making the whole AI movement look like possibly a giant bubble of huge investments that is now going to burst. Companies will realize that they're overspending, and that will cause the AI market to potentially crash. And because these AI stocks just have such rich valuations, many, again, trading near record highs and so on, they'll need to come down to balance that, especially chip makers like nvidia, because their highest performing chips that they upgrade every year will no longer be needed. It won't be needed as frequently, won't be needing that much power, and all of that just maybe causing demand to kind of dwindle down. But I call BS on that as well. Now, yes, it's true that most AI stocks are pretty expensive, but the demand for I just don't see dwindling down anytime soon. Just try to listen to any earnings calls. We're right in the middle of earnings season, right? Try to listen to any earnings calls these next couple weeks and tell me that these companies are not constantly talking about how important AI is for their business and their future. NVIDIA basically sells everything they can make at this point, everything they can develop, everything that they can have TSMC build for them. Um, it all goes out the door. They're always just trying to meet demand because it's so high. And a big reason why is because all of these other companies are also competing with themselves within AI. If that wasn't the case, then a company like AMD would dethrone Nvidia because of their cheaper prices. But we know that that hasn't happened because companies do want more power that really only Nvidia can supply because they're better at the end of the day, right? Everybody knows Nvidia GPUs are better than AMD. The AMD is great, don't get me wrong. I'm not like trying to throw shade at AMD. And I think AMD serves a very important role as an alternative to Nvidia at a lower price point. And they also have very powerful GPUs and chips too. So AMD is a great company. But my point is that all of these companies they're power hungry. They're always going to want more and more power. And you could just look at how excited everyone is about quantum computing, for example. If you think those things are not going to need insane amounts of power, you're delusional. And we know that that's going to play a big role in the future of AI, along with many other technologies like the metaverse and smart cities and so many other things in AI that will be very power hungry, and NVIDIA can supply basically all of that. And by the way, even if cheap AI does flood the market, however you want to look at it, that'll probably just send adoption and usage skyrocketing, making AI in general more popular, with more companies being aware of it and then trying to compete with each other even more. And eventually you're just going to end up spending more money on it anyway. I think demand will always be there and it'll be causing that effect. Now, the whole notion of there being a peak in AI demand or in AI spending, that's something that is getting brought up a lot right now with this whole fear, is that, oh, we reached a peak in AI spending, right? So Nvidia's growth is going to slow way down because we reached the peak. Well, that's something that gets brought up every year, seemingly. I mean, it's been brought up 3 years ago, 2 years ago, last year. It'll be brought up this year. It's going to be brought up next year, the year after that, and probably every single year for the rest of our lives. When the truth is really that probably the only thing causing demand and spending to peak or ever go down will be the macroeconomy, at least in my opinion. If the economy is healthy, companies will invest in artificial intelligence. If it's not, yeah, they're going to cut costs and certain companies will get hit, but that's the risk that you always run with recessions and investing in the stock market. So you just have to be smart about your investments. And even in the worst case scenario, I believe that in all of this fear, it's still assuming that everything coming out of China can even be trusted in the first place, which, granted, maybe all of this is true that this startup company is saying. Like I said, I have zero information about insider information about any of this. But if you ask me for just my raw personal opinion on it, my gut tells me that just like most things coming out of China, they're probably stretching the truth, at least to some degree. None of us have any way of verifying that they haven't been working on this technology for years instead of months. We have no way of knowing that they didn't steal any of these technologies, which, does seem to conveniently happen a lot with American companies, where they try to get access to the Chinese market, but they can only do so through a special partnership where they have to basically hand everything over to some state-run company as a partner. But that company ends up stealing the technology, and then all of a sudden you have these startups in China that just kind of pop up out of nowhere, and they seem to have all this amazing technology just kind of out of nowhere. And we also have no way of knowing, on top of all of that, that this startup even used H800 GPUs instead of the more powerful H100. Just because America bans them doesn't guarantee that China will enforce that. But even then, why is everyone all of a sudden shocked that China is making progress with artificial intelligence? Did you ever think that they wouldn't? Of course, they're going to push those technologies. AI is the future. China knows that, and they want to dominate global markets. So you better get used to having to compete with China. It's nothing new. So I don't know where all the fear is just popping up out of nowhere. China has always been a threat to every technology company out there. And I don't say that in any kind of I don't even know how to describe that. I'm not saying that in like a conflict kind of way. I don't mean that we need to like be fighting with China or whatever. That's all besides the point. I'm just saying they're going to be a competitor. You have to be expecting that. And that's not something that is ever going to go away. Now, having said all of that, I still think that these American companies are the best, highest quality, most proven in the space. So I continue to invest in some of them. And by the way, I also own some Chinese stocks too, like Alibaba, Baidu, and Tencent, but they're really small positions, whereas I invest much, much heavier into safer American tech stocks like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, nvidia, Meta, and more. And yeah, I'm going to be buying on these dips too. I actually hope that these stocks go lower because I felt that they were a bit too high as it is. So I welcome a correction. I welcome a dip. I welcome any of that stuff. If all of this fear can cause some of these valuations to get more attractive, why is that such a bad thing? I welcome it, frankly, and I will take those lower prices all day. Now, I'm actually in the process of putting out several AI stocks videos. I've already put out 2 of them, and I've got a third coming out soon of some of my favorite AI stocks to be buying this year in the market. So if you want to watch those, I'll put links down in the description if you're trying to get some ideas of different AI stocks out there. But again, all of this is just my opinion. I'm just sharing with you my quick thoughts because a lot of people ask me to share how I feel about it all. But I would love to know how you guys feel about this. So please leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And thank you so much for watching, my friends. I hope that you're all doing well. Hope you enjoyed this quick update. And I will catch you in the next video. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.